finger was in that.
That is a serious rookie mistake. Gonna say anything?
No.
Okay.
Oh, was that a video or was that a...
It was a video.
I thought he was taking a picture.
I should
Yeah, you didn't say anything.
I should just take a picture though.
That's sick.
Okay, we're live.
Let me make sure we are live. Okay, cool. Well, awesome. I will... Are you on? Are they...
We're online. You're good.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Lofty Lifestyles podcast, where we explore people's living incredible lives within their niche. Today's guest is Harli G and her husband Ryan. Huge social media following with over 200,000 YouTube subscribers, 800,000 Instagram followers, and a celebrity in the botanical vlogging world. They just launched their new online plant shop, The Foliage Fix.
Yep.
Okay, thank you guys so much for having us here. We're very excited to be here. And we're excited to hear about the life that you two have created. This is such a new industry for me. I was unaware that this even existed until like the last month. So I'm super excited to hear about it. So go ahead and just tell us a little bit about a day in the life of being a botanical vlog host or vlogger of this scale.
Basically it consists of a lot of plant care. That's number one, of course. But then, I don't know, just basically a regular day. We just film what's happening and edit. That's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward.
So filming plants, to the unknowledgeable listener,
Yeah.
what does that consist of? I mean, how did you develop such a following from in this sphere?
Well, I myself started as a beginner, so I think that's my audience has kind of grown with me. Like we all were beginners when I started my channel, and now we're kind of evolving into more knowledgeable, like plant parents, as they like to call us. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just kind of been like a slow evolution together. So it's been easy to keep up with because we're all at the same pace, kind of. Like my channel really was never like marketed in the beginning, especially toward like more experienced gardeners. So.
Okay, interesting. For me, it's such a unique thing that you have been able to develop here. So you started your channel out talking about plants. You said plant parents, and then where did you take it from there? Like, are you a botanist? Where did your experience come from in this? Is it mostly just you learn on the go and developing a following that's gone along with you?
Yeah, definitely 100%. And I'm definitely not a botanist. Like, I don't know any of the technical terms. And I think that's a big reason, like, people kind of gravitated toward my channel. Because before I started, it really was just kind of like, I mean this in the nicest way, like older generation people standing really far back from the camera, just kind of like monotone stating the information that nobody could understand because they knew like all these big words that, you know, the beginner doesn't really know. So as I got interested in plants, then I kind of saw that there was like a void where like there were all these experienced people, but where a beginner's supposed to, like it all just sounded like gibberish listening to these people talk. So I wanted to do like a more basic kind of learn as I go kind of a thing with people.
How long have you been doing this?
Oh, like 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then full time I've been doing it for almost 2.
Almost 2?
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you guys been married?
Oh gosh, a long time.
Oh, we just had our anniversary on the 9th.
7 years.
7 years. Okay, so you've been doing this.
Wait,
the
no,
whole time
6
you've been
years.
Married.
We got married in 2015, right?
Yeah, it's 2021.
6 going on 7.
Yep, 6 years.
We can edit that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But because I was wondering if you were doing it together. So the whole time you've been married, you've been able to do this together.
Yeah, kind of.
Well,
not the
I
whole
would say
time.
no, because I didn't do it with Harli. Like for a long time. It was Harli's gig, and even going back, she'll have to tell you like before the plant channel, how the whole thing even started. I wasn't involved with, to be honest with you, much. She did her thing and I did my thing, and they were very separate. And that's not to say like it was because I was against her thing or she was against my thing, but we were just doing separate things at the time. But then it grew, and now we're to a point where I kind of have to be involved because we're doing a lot of things together,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of
more.
logistics involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into all the stuff you're doing in a second. So let's talk about the beginning, how you got into it.
Oh gosh. I guess it's hard to say where the beginning is because it really has just been like a never-ending thing of like decisions that led to other decisions that led to this. But I guess like where it really started was I had some familial issues that I had to end up leaving college. Well, I made the decision to leave college and got like a regular job that I hated because I was like on my own. I wasn't with my parents anymore. And then that just kind of led to me like accepting any opportunity outside of that could take me somewhere other than that like retail job at a department store that I hated so much. I just took those opportunities, and then there was this one called the Essies in like the beauty world where they wanted like an ambassador for them for a year. So you just had to enter these designs, and I ended up deciding to enter like...
We're talking for nails here, not even
nails, nail art.
Okay.
Night before the entries were due, I decided to enter, and I ended up winning it. So like I got all these crazy opportunities. Like I got to work with Teen Vogue. I painted Kendall Jenner's nails at like Fashion Week, and Bella Hadid's nails, like all these celebrities.
I forgot to mention you had like a pretty big nail page.
Yeah.
You know, nail following before you went into plants. Oh, yeah.
I mean, Harli just blew over that like really fast. Like, I think the gravity of what happened was just insane. Like, she enters this competition, right, where there was more than 10,000 entries, right? Mm-hmm. And she was like one of 1,000 that got picked for like the finals. And then she was like one of like 100, and then like one of 50, and then like one of, I can't remember.
It was one of 10 and then one of 3.
One.
Well,
one of one at the end.
One of one in the end, but that was a massive undertaking, and she won the entire thing.
Yeah.
So back up. You decided the night before that you wanted to enter.
Yeah.
What did that entry consist of?
I just had to paint my nails and like come up with a design that Essie would like that was on brand for them, and do a video.
Did you have experience with nail painting, or was that just kind of something you're like, hey, I'm gonna just do this tonight and see what happens?
I painted my nails and stuff, and I'd sometimes post little nail fees. But yeah, that was the first like jump into that like more professionally, I guess. So yeah, that was kind of the starting point.
The launching platform for your being famous. Because you grew that channel to how many?
The YouTube channel wasn't very big. I think it was around 10,000, and then I stopped that.
That channel.
Yeah.
Your Instagram page had like 20.
Yeah, somewhere. I hardly ever get on there.
Yeah, for the nails.
Yep.
Okay, so you're getting nail famous. You're doing Kendall Jenner's nails. Mm-hmm. Kendall or Kylie? Kendall's nails. And then keep telling us.
And then I was doing all that stuff. Like I was flying to New York several times a year to go work with like all these crazy brands. And it started out so good, and like I'm really grateful for it. But I learned a lot. Kind of at that time, I was doing what other people wanted me to do or were like expecting of me to do, not what I personally like wanted in what I was creating, if that makes sense. I don't quite know how to word it, but and then I kind of started to realize that it just didn't like feel like me anymore. Like I was just like a robot doing what other people were expecting. So then I just stopped doing that, and then I got my first plant.
All downhill from there.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting thing that you say, that you were doing what other people wanted you to do, even though you were doing something pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that thought process of transitioning from, I'm doing something cool, but it's not what I want to do or how I want to do it. Because I would guess that had to have been a pretty scary decision to be like, okay, I'm going to back out of this and go do something else. Talk us through that mindset and that process.
I mean, really, it was an easy decision. I still to this day, sometimes I'm like, oh, was it the right one? I think it was the right one, but every once in a while it creeps in my head. But I was just having issues like getting paid from companies that I was working for, or like just little things like that. And they just kept adding up. And then kind of the final straw was, obviously I can't say the brand, but somebody stole one of my designs and didn't pay me, but paid another manicurist to do it. And this was like in their advertisements at all of their big stores. That was kind of when I was like, okay, you know what, I'm done. So Yeah, I mean, really, it was like overnight, huh?
It happened really fast to me, for
Yeah,
sure.
and yeah, so I really didn't like think about it too much. It was just kind of a little small thought in the back of my brain, and then with every little thing that like kept adding up like that. And don't get me wrong, there were good points through all of this too that I really enjoyed, but that just I wasn't enjoying it how I was in the beginning. So yeah, and it taught me a lot. So I'm thankful I did it, but.
I was gonna say, with that experience, then you jumped into getting your first plant,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that world you were just leaving kind of a toxic little environment and something that you didn't know if your heart was truly in to getting your first plant. I mean, how did?
I mean, they're opposite ends of the spectrum. Like the beauty world and like nature just feels totally opposite to me. I don't know. There was just something about focusing in on that little succulent plant that he actually bought for me. Do you remember?
No, I
You
bought you a
don't?
succulent.
It was for my birthday. Yeah.
Well, of course I remember.
He bought me a
It's
plant.
a great plant.
It has since
He's probably
died.
bought many plants for Harley. at this point.
No, you should have seen our last house.
Yeah.
This one's at least big enough to fit the plants. Our last
Yeah.
house, it wasn't.
Yeah, we had to move to fit them.
So you got the succulent.
Yep. And it was just fun to like focus in on something. It kind of like recentered me. It like helped me focus in on what's important. And I know that sounds like so dramatic, but like everything I was stressing about and all of that with like the beauty world didn't ultimately matter at the end of the day. So, and that just like helped me realize that. So,
That's a big thing. I mean, that's why we talk to people like you, is to hear these perspectives. Everyone thinks, oh, they're doing this or this. How can someone not be happy? Or, that's why I'd kill for that opportunity. But we specifically talk to people who love what they do. And so it's cool to hear that story, that you were doing something that a lot of people would maybe glamorize and be like, no, that's not for me. I don't love it. I'm going to pivot and find something that I love to do. So you got this succulent, and then how did you decide, okay, I'm going to all of a sudden turn this into a huge online phenomenon in the botanical vlogging sphere?
well, it really was. I killed those plants pretty quickly. That first plant is long gone. It lasted like a month. So
I want my money back for that.
So I was on YouTube looking up information, as people do. How can I keep it alive next time? Because it was a lot of fun, and I felt really bad. But there just wasn't anybody that on the internet that I felt connected to personally. Not that their information wasn't good, but I just didn't like enjoy watching it. So I didn't really retain the information. And I was like, there's kind of a gap in this, like, I don't know if I market, I guess, community. And I kind of wanted to like put that out there for other people who were looking for that, like for me, or like I was too. So and then, if you get one plant, I don't know if any of my viewers are going to be here watching this at some point, but they all know, you start with one plant and it is a slippery slope.
You live in a greenhouse all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Well, I've personally even used your videos. I was telling you that I had a houseplant. I've always killed houseplants forever, and we would get one as a presents and stuff, and we'd always kill them. So I had a goal this year to keep the one I just barely got alive, and I have successfully, because I watched one of your videos. It was getting little yellow spots, and I had no idea what the heck, and I was watering it like crazy, and I was putting it directly into sunlight, and I found what I assume was I don't know the word for the plant, but I found the one that looked like my plant, and you told me how to get rid of it, and it's been healthy ever since. So
Yay.
It's impressive.
a success story right here.
Love that.
So you're scaling. You're getting more and more plants. You're becoming a miniature greenhouse. And tell us a little bit more about that scenario. You're getting more plants. You're filming more plants. You're just putting more content out. And is it organic?
Yeah, it's organic. Being on the internet, I'm sure you guys know, like you kind of have to change what you're doing with the viewership, I guess. Like you kind of can't just stick with one thing forever, and you kind of have to roll with the punches, I guess, because what people want to see changes. So we are kind of ramping things up. Before, I was filming on my iPhone up until like a year ago, and now we finally have like a camera and this setup. We got lights. We're figuring out mics and stuff. Yeah, but I guess content-wise, I just kind of do what I'm, like, thinking. So, like, what's in my head, I'm assuming is in other people's head. And it kind of has been, I guess, because it's worked.
So tell us about how you two work together on this. Because Jay and I are figuring out pretty quickly that being online or trying to create a following online is more involved than just simply taking a picture, putting it on social media, and then like it going viral, and all of a sudden you're doing so well.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that experience scaling up online and how you two have worked together, kind of your individual roles in that.
Yeah, I think scaling up is the important word there, because it wasn't like Harli blinked and had 250,000 followers, you know. It was like, you know, you had your nail stuff that had a pretty good following, and at that time we thought like 10,000 people, like that's a lot of people, you know. That's more people than live in Plain City where we live right now. But then, you know, we hit 20,000, Harli got to 30,000, she got 60,000, and it just felt like, oh my gosh, the whole world, you know, is watching and listening. And along this whole way, I guess the part I really had to play with this is I told Harli for her to quit her job working at the retail store that she absolutely hated.
Hated it.
Which really, if I had to sum up Harli, I'd say Harli is the plant vlogger exists because she hated working so much for someone else that she was willing to do anything else. And she's created that, whether it was nails or the plant channel, she created that out of her despise for her 9 to 5.
It was bad.
Yeah. But we got to the point where I told her, all right, if you want to make this your full-time job, you have to pay the house payment and all the bills with your YouTube income monthly, right?
Yep.
And like, I was kind of like most people. I didn't think you could actually make money on YouTube. Like I was a non-believer, 100%. And even now, people ask like, how do you make money on YouTube? And a lot of times we don't even know, right? It's just so changing and growing and changing constantly. But Harli was able to do it, and she got to the point where she was making enough money. She paid the house payment. She paid for all our bills. And, you know, the goal was for me to save my money so that we could keep investing in real estate was what we were wanting to do long term. So she got to that point. That was, what, 2-3 years ago when you did it full time?
It was 2 years ago.
And how many followers do you think you had at that time?
20,000.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that many compared
Yeah.
to where we're at now.
Yeah.
Was that on YouTube? 20,000 YouTube subscribers?
Yeah.
And now what are you at? You're over.
Over 200. I don't know.
Over
I
200.
have-
Over
yeah.
200.
Yeah.
200,000.
Somewhere around there.
So in the last 2 years, you've essentially taken your following and grown it 10 times. What are the challenges that come with having that big of a social media presence?
Well, I think a lot, like you do a lot of like personal introspection, like
Yeah, you're not yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, your whole life is out. This was the part I was against with YouTube or social media. Like, I was kind of anti-social media, but I'm more of a private person. Like, I didn't want stuff out there on the internet about us. A great example of this is Harli filmed the birth of our first son. She did like a birth vlog. Is that what you called it? And I was really against that. Like, really, like, I thought that was like a special moment for us, private moment. But she did it really well. I'm super happy now that she did it.
it was tasteful.
It was very tasteful, and it got like 200,000 views. And to me, like, that was such a private part of our life, and I think that kind of just summed up all my feelings. But when we put that out there and we saw, you know, 200,000 people watch that, is it at? I don't know what it's at now.
I don't know.
But
Somewhere.
all these people watched it, and we got this really good feedback, and it felt, you know, people were sending us gifts from all over the country.
Because they genuinely care about us,
Yeah.
and I think that made him realize like these are real people.
And that was only a year ago, right? Like, he was
Yeah.
born a year ago in February, and that was kind of probably the shift for me when I was like, you know, I could probably get behind this more. Since then, I've been in more videos, tried to be as supportive as I can. But that's kind of our relationship with us now, how we try and support each other.
Yeah. Yep.
And not only are you guys supporting each other on doing the videos, but you're also launching the foliage fix. So tell us about that and how that came about.
How did it come about?
That was just another thing Harli wanted, and I was dragging my feet because it wasn't what I was doing.
Yeah, but it was a lot for me to handle, so we kind of waited until Ryan was like ready to jump more in with me because it would just be too much for one person.
Yeah.
But I love cutting my plants, but then I run out of space in my house for the plants. So I was like, oh, what could we do with all of this? And now we have the foliage fix.
Yeah, and I mean, essentially, we started it last year, kind of during pandemic. Like we got, the business registration, we got logos, we had, the ideas thought out, and then the big thing for us was like creating inventory, which was Harli's job, to grow more plants, get more plants. And I don't know, we just kind of took the leap. We haven't even officially announced the opening of the store yet. So if anyone is listening to this, they're going to hear that we actually have opened it. But yeah, we've been hesitant to, just because we can't release it to 200,000 people. We just don't have inventory for it, and we don't have the manpower yet. We're trying to create systems right now so that we could hire more people, and that's what we've been working on these last few weeks. So
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
it's a unique
If
problem.
If we're going to open it up, we're going to have enough inventory.
Yep. So that's where we're at.
So it seems like you take that leap of faith and go, okay, I'm going to pursue something that is more in line with what I want to do and with what I love. And then, ultimately you became successful from that. And then that has led to apparently more business opportunities, more opportunities outside of just the internet sphere. Where do you see this going in the next couple of years? Because, last 2 years, you've grown by 10 times. Is that kind of the goal for the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years with this current business that you guys are running?
That's really hard to say because it just changes so fast, and it really has to do with like the world, where the world's at itself. I really can't even say, but wow, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we're trying to plan for if this doesn't exist.
Yeah.
If in 5 years YouTube doesn't exist, or if her channel doesn't exist, or we never know what will happen. So really, we're trying to save money, invest money, and just set ourselves up for a day after YouTube, or a day when Harli changes her mind that she doesn't want to do plants anymore. Because I've been around long enough to know that Harli marches to her own drum, and if she doesn't want to do plants anymore, she won't do plants anymore.
It's true.
Okay, so what are a few of those things outside of plants that you guys are involved in right now? We don't need to get too much into specifics, but obviously you guys are smart with what you guys are doing, preparing for a potential life after plants and after YouTube. How do you guys approach that, balancing what you're doing now with preparing for the future?
That's definitely more Ryan. I'm not a planner.
Yeah, Harli's a very in the moment person. I'm probably the planner out of the two of us.
Yeah.
I think right now, like for us, or at least me specifically, we're trying to be a family. Like both of what we've done, what I've done in my life and what she's done in her life, has taken up a ton of time. And now we have a son who's 16 months old, and then we have another boy that's going to be on the way. So we're going to have two boys a couple years apart. And I think it's really important to both of us that we slow life down here and just enjoy being a family. It's really important to me to be a dad, and I think Harli's really loved being a mom. And I should preface this by saying, anyone who's watched Harli's YouTube knew that for years we were saying we never wanted to have kids. And now we have two of them. So that's another shift that we've had, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, cool. I think that's some awesome insight into your guys' lives professionally. We always start these podcasts off talking about the professional side. I think we got some really cool insight on from where you guys started to where you are now. Now let's talk a little bit about outside of work, the fun stuff. I mean, your lifestyle involves a lot of plants, but tell us about outside of life. You talked about your family, you've talked about some other business interests. I mean, what hobbies, what are the fruits of your labor from the work you guys have put in so far?
Well, we love traveling. We do. We haven't done that much of it because we do devote so much time to like his real estate stuff, my YouTube stuff. But now we're definitely doing more of that. And then like hiking and camping is what I love to do the most. So more plants.
Well, and we've launched a second YouTube channel that's just Harli and Ryan G, and that's more vlog videos of us just doing stuff we like to do.
Casual stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah.
And it's pretty cool that this affords you, this and your outside investments afford you the lifestyle to go and say, I'm going to go create a second channel to then go actually live my life and go film my actual life. It doesn't always have to be involved with the plants or anything like that. So tell us about one of the trips you guys just recently took. I know you just got back from a couple trips.
Yeah. I went to Florida.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle, Hawaii. So in the last few months, we've done a kind of a lot of traveling.
Yeah, since we got vaccinated.
Yeah,
we
since
like
we-
want to see the world again.
Oh man, and everything flights to everywhere were so cheap
Yeah.
for a hot minute there.
Yep.
So yeah, we went to Seattle with a brand, Botanica's is a plant shop up in Seattle who are much bigger than the Foliage Fix. They have like 100,000 plants or something and a pretty large staff.
Mm-hmm.
So they hired Harli to go up there and do brand marketing for them.
Yep.
So she makes videos and content and produces it and advertises for them. At the end of the day, Harli really is in social media advertising, which I think people think like YouTubers just film nonsense and it goes out there, but the point is advertising, right? Social media marketing and advertising.
Yep.
I mean, what from someone on the outside, what does that mean? Social media advertising. So, like, are they putting your face on their ads?
No, so I'm putting their stuff on my videos.
Oh,
So like
okay.
opposite.
And that's kind of going along with our personal life. Harli gets a lot of brand opportunities that have nothing to do with plants.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have brands that have sent us furniture, mattress. I mean, just kind of
all over the place.
yeah, all over
sorts
the
of
all over the
stuff.
place. Yeah, so
That's kind of one of the ways we're like scaling it up, like how we were talking about before, is getting more of those brand like partnerships. So that's a way we've grown, I guess, like made it more, doing more, but like less time into it, I guess, kind of. So
I think that's smart. That's very smart. So give us an example of a funny story that's happened within this 6-year, scope of becoming a YouTuber and having Ryan be your kind of right-hand man. Do you guys have a funny story?
there's kind of a lot of funny stories.
oh, I'm glad you could think of one because
Oh,
my
you
brain
couldn't
went
think of
blank.
one? Yeah, that was kind of putting us on the spot, huh? Well, I think it's not really like funny, but it's the strangest thing is when Harli gets recognized. I mean, that to me is like weird because you feel so connected to the world. Like in one instance, you feel like that's when I remember, wow, the whole world's watching like whatever we put on the internet, right? So the first night we were in Hawaii, actually, we went to the Cheesecake Factory, and right there on Waikiki, and had a nice dinner. We're just sitting, talking, eating. There was a bunch of kids at a table without any parents there. I don't know where the parents were. It's kind of obnoxious. But we like get our check and we're ready to pay, and this girl at the table next to us like comes over and is like, "Hey, are you Harli?" And in that, like, we were in Hawaii, like states away, trying to get away from everything, and that was honestly really cool. Like someone was like, "You're Harli G, right?" And it was a weird feeling, don't you think?
Yeah, really weird. And then there was this one time at Lowe's. We were just looking at plants, I thought this was kind of funny anyway. It made Ryan realize like how many people really are into the plant world. Like he just kind of thought it was like young millennials like me, like hippie type people, but these two burly dudes approached and said hi, and Ryan was like, "Who are they? Do you know them?" And I'm like, "Oh, they watch my YouTube channel." Like,
One of them looked like he could be like, I don't know, in a motorcycle club or something.
yeah, like big dudes.
No
So
way.
Yeah,
yeah, it was
and that-
really cool.
That was here locally, huh?
Yeah.
In Ogden.
Yeah, I still talk to him.
Yeah. So I think that's always weird. Like whenever people recognize Harli and reach out, and it's a cool opportunity because like people I watch on YouTube, like how cool would it be to see someone and talk to them and have them be genuine with you?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
That's way cool because that's kind of what we felt like coming over is there's probably people that feel like you're a little bit unreachable. You're like, wow, that's Harli if they see you just living your life in the Cheesecake Factory. But it is cool to be here in your studio on your terrarium, looking at the back end of how this all, how the magic is created.
no, it is really cool.
Yep.
The only other story I can think of, funny story, is the mean YouTube comment from that birth video about me and your
Oh.
sisters. You want to tell that one?
No, I don't.
Well, this is like, we were talking beforehand about probably the hardest thing about being on the internet is people that will say stuff that they would never say to your face, right?
Mhm.
That's definitely the hardest part. And Harli deals with it very, very well. I don't deal with it very well. But in this video of the birth of our son, I said, like, giving birth is, like, kind of disgusting. Some people think it's beautiful. I think it's disgusting.
It's kind of both.
It's kind of a mix of both, but it was pretty disgusting. And some lady comments on the video and said, what did she say? She said, husband's a puss, and she said sisters were mean or something. I can't watch. Oh, so yeah, if she's out there, that comment stuck with me this whole time. I probably will never forget that until I die.
Yep.
That's what we were talking about beforehand. We're doing a Harley reads mean comments from YouTube. I think we could have something there.
Yeah.
Especially if they're along that vein. Of
Oh,
comments.
yeah. Oh, there's good ones.
Oh, yeah, there are. There's a lot of good ones.
That's awesome. So tell us about, a lot of people on YouTube, you mentioned earlier, people think, oh, YouTubers, they go on, just film a bunch of garbage, get famous. And how, you film something that people really attach onto and they have this real interest in houseplants, which to me seems like a very narrow niche, but it appears that that's not the case. It's actually pretty big. How do you appeal to such a large audience? Like, how do you go from, okay, I'm going to create content for my audience while still kind of being authentic? How do you balance that? What do people want to hear with how do I want to be?
That's kind of where I'm at right now, actually, trying to figure that out. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. That's just kind of something, again, rolling with the punches as things change. Like, you just have to figure it out and remake it, I guess. I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say.
I think Harley's done really good at this. I think that's one reason her channel's grown so well, is she's pretty authentic on her channel. There's a lot of people that sell out and they're fake, and you can really feel it in their videos. And I think that's what Harley's really done well at, connecting with people, is because they sense that she's genuine. She makes mistakes on camera all the time. It's not, pre-recorded or highly edited to make it seem unnatural. And I think that's what's got her to where she's at right now, is just her being genuine and herself. I think people feel really connected with her even if they've never met her in life before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one cool genuine thing, you're interested in murder mysteries, and so
Yeah.
you just launched your murder mystery series.
Potting a murder. Yeah, so basically I just repot some plants and I talk about true crime. And yeah, it's just been something I've watched on YouTube. Like, that's, even outside of plants, that's my number one, most watched and listened to podcast thing. True crime. I don't know what it is. Ryan doesn't get it, but
Yeah, I don't, but it worked with the analytics.
yeah, and I don't know, you kind of have to do, you have to appeal to your audience, but you also have to appeal to yourself. Otherwise, with the beauty community, the Nell world thing, you'll burn out. So you have to do stuff that's fun for you too.
Because then every day you're waking up and doing, you wanted to get away from the job, and if you're waking up every day saying, oh, I have to do this, or it's like, oh, I gotta go, I love murder mysteries and I love plants, let's go mix those two and create some fun content.
Yeah, try to keep it relevant, but not really.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. We only have one episode up, and we're gonna give it a good shot and see what we can do with it. So
Yeah, it's not my flavor at all. I'm not into plants or murder mysteries. I've taken a lot of criticism about me not being into plants, if that's what you were going to say.
Well,
I was going to ask about that actually, but you answered the question there.
Because I was going to say, your next move is you've also done business in plants too, with the foliage. So that's definitely Ryan's,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
backing.
I'm more interested in that for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Something for everyone here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kai's going to be, what's his interest, your son?
I don't know, but he has a bigger social media following than I had when I was his age. I don't know how many people follow him on his page,
Yeah, I
but
don't
it's
know.
kind of a lot for a 16-month-old.
People love him. He's cute.
Yeah.
His could be destroying plants.
Yeah. Oh, he's
The
really
page,
good
yeah.
at that.
He actually really likes the dirt.
That's an idea.
He eats it. He feels it.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
He fills it.
He spreads it around the house.
Yep.
That's such great insight from people who have been successful in these different worlds. We talk about pivoting, we talk about finding what you love, we talk about taking that leap of faith to get out of that, to break the mold, get out of that 9 to 5. And you guys have done it in a pretty cool way, a way that most people would not have ventured a way into, and managed to do it in a way that you enjoy and you love doing. What advice would you give someone? A lot of people are scared. They go, man, I got to pay for a house. I got to pay for bills, a million things. do I trust myself to take this leap of faith and be like, hey, hopefully I can pay the bills with this? What was, you talked a little bit about your mindset, but what advice would you give someone that's really looking to actually take that jump from the 9 to 5 to the doing my own thing?
You should tell them about the car salesman who we bought your car from.
What?
I can't remember his name now.
Did you trade him a plant?
No.
That'd be cool.
There's a couple plants in here that we probably could have traded across for the car. But I think one thing I've been super proud of Harli for that I think is really not normal is she wants other people to succeed at YouTube, like as much as she does. And anytime she tells anyone she's a YouTuber, almost every person we run into is like, oh, I had like this idea of like doing a YouTube channel about this or that. And every time Harli says, you should do it. And so that's where the car salesman that we bought Harli a car like the week of Christmas. Marco, that was his name.
Yeah.
So, obviously when you're buying a car, it comes up, well, so what do you do, right? And Harli's like, I'm a YouTuber. And I think everyone thinks, oh, yeah, right. And then they were in the back room and looked at her up, and they were like, wow, you really are, So Marco was just, like, excited about that, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like, I'm really into, like, was it?
Figurines.
Yeah, figurines. Yeah, so he showed us pictures, and Harli was like, well, you should start a YouTube. Like, you should do it. And I thought that was way cool because, a lot of people are, like, anti-competitive. Like, oh, no, what I'm doing, no one else can do kind of thing. But Harli is always like, you can do what I'm doing. And I think that's really cool.
That's what I love about YouTube. Like, literally anybody can do it, no matter, like, I have a YouTube about plants. Like, what the heck? No matter what your interest is, if you're not sure, like, what you could do with that, like, YouTube. I'm not sponsored by YouTube. I should be.
Yeah, no kidding.
But you really can. You just have to be dedicated, of course, and like post consistently. Like, you're not just going to get those views overnight. And I think kind of somewhere people maybe go wrong, although I don't really think there's a wrong or a right way to do it because it can work like no matter what way you do. But people go into it with the mindset of, oh, I want to do what other people are doing, like, and then they'll try to mimic these big creators and other influencers that they look up to. But you like have to do it with your own flair. Like, do what you would want to see genuinely on YouTube. And I feel like that's what will work. And then as far as like taking the leap from paying the bills, like we kind of talked about that before, but don't just like decide to do a YouTube and then quit your job the next day. Maybe wait for it to get to a point where your channel is like at a point where it's obviously growing over the course of, I don't know, I think it took like a year from when you said that till I was able to quit, that we felt comfortable.
Yeah. Like,
because it was maintaining itself. It wasn't like going really high one month and then dropping the next month. It was staying pretty level at a steady incline even. So yeah. And then once it gets to the point that like you still want to continue growing, but you're just not able to handle the workload, then maybe that's the time that you sit down with your partner and you say, I'm quitting my job for YouTube. So.
It's a weird conversation to have, though.
Yeah.
And there's there's a lot of trust on both sides of the table there. Mm-hmm. And no matter if it's YouTube or whatever other venture, I'm sure there's some faith and some trust to say, okay, like, go out and live your dream.
Totally.
Well, and I think, like with Harli specifically, like I said earlier, Harli marches to the beat of her own drum. Like, she's going to do what she wants. And I think she's not driven by money. She's not driven by, like, fame. She's not driven by, I think, a lot of metrics that a lot of people are, myself included, right? And I think that's maybe what worked for her, is that she just made content. And it took a long time. It wasn't, like she said, it wasn't like she just got a paycheck and, life was gravy after that. It took a long time and a lot of work before really she saw any benefits. Mm-hmm. So
there's a fun book I haven't read yet, but I watch what's called Watch Mojo. I don't know. They do a bunch of top 10s, mm-hmm. and they have a book that they published that was the 10-year overnight success. If someone were to look at you, you'd be like, wow, it was an overnight success. All of a sudden she just quit and she's famous. But I like what you guys are talking about. There's a time where you have to grow, you have to be consistent. Mm-hmm. And tell us, for those people wanting specifically to maybe do better on social media, what is a strategy? You were saying consistency was a good strategy.
Yeah, consistency. I mean, obviously I know more on YouTube than anything else.
Tell us a little bit about YouTube.
Yeah, consistency, they really reward. So like not uploading less than one time a week. I know that's a big thing. I did actually have an opportunity to talk with people from YouTube, like to help me improve my channel once I hit around 15,000 subscribers. So that's the number one thing they said. Watch time is the number one most important thing. So I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean like make videos that are an hour long, make videos that people are going to watch 100% through. Gosh, yeah.
And can you see those analytics on the back end?
Yeah.
Where people stop?
Yes, and it hurts.
Yeah, it literally like shows your video and there'll be like a cliff where people stop watching, or like it has like a little section where it plateaus and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is good. Like viewers continue to watch these 2 minutes, you know.
But the
Yeah.
best was in 30 seconds, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
You put something really good at the end, but everyone stopped watching by then.
Yeah, that's how it goes, huh? But then
Yeah.
it's good to have those because then you can go look at the back end, as you called it, whatever, and see like, this is where it's dropping off. Like, what did I do that maybe could have caused that? Was it not interesting enough? And then like try to do better going forward, like watch time wise. So, I mean, that's kind of something you can look at if you start a channel.
That's really cool.
We're running out of time here. I just want to bring up one more point that I kind of picked up on through this conversation. We've asked you guys several times about how many followers, how many likes, how many views and stuff. And every time you've been like, oh, I don't know what it's at now. For me personally, and I'm sure a lot of people who, you know, I have my little 300 followers on Instagram or whatever, I'm always like, how many likes did I get? How many people saw this? How do you get that disconnect, or how do you, because I feel like that's kind of where people struggle, is they get so mentally obsessed with how many likes do I have, how many followers, you know, how many people are leaving positive comments, things like that. How did you get to that point where you're like, okay, I can just turn that off and just make my content, love what I do, and not care about the metrics or the haters?
I mean, I think that waxes and wanes. Like, I still go through that sometimes, which is why I started my Potting a Murder series, to kind of get back to what I wanted. And I don't know, you'd really just have to like take time away from that every so often. That's why I love like camping and hiking, like getting off the phone, being out, recentering myself out in the world, to see like what's really important and realize that like although you care about these people, like that you're making the content for and building like actually genuine connections with, like ultimately we are our most important person in how we feel. So I don't know, just trying to remind yourself that like what you're doing is because you love doing it. Yeah.
And I think just not comparing yourself.
Yeah.
And like we're like giving advice here, but I think we do all these things that are wrong too. Like we
Yeah.
look at how many likes, you know, you get or how many views you get, and it can be painful, and sometimes it can be like that like dopamine response. Like it feels really good, a video's doing awesome.
And then sometimes they tank and it hurts.
Yeah.
So like you just have to remind yourself that you're enjoying what you're doing. So like you love the content you make anyway. So really, like, what doesn't matter?
And it's just such a spectrum too. Like Harli's channel is really big compared to 90-something% of channels on YouTube, but compared to, you know, like a Casey Neistat or Mr. Beast, you know, who has like 60 million followers, you know, like what she's doing is minuscule. So it's just like Harli said, staying centered and being happy with what you're producing and knowing you're giving your all, I think.
Yeah, and it's okay to like want to grow.
Yeah, for sure.
But just
Striking that balance
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
I'm mentally healthy, I love
yeah,
what I do,
yeah,
but I'm also looking at the analytics for the purpose of business growth.
totally. And I talk to a lot of other YouTubers, and I think that's kind of something anybody really in the social media spectrum struggles with. Like, no matter how big you are, that's a struggle that everybody goes through.
I think everyone knows
Repeatedly.
that social media is unhealthy,
Yeah.
like, or at least most people have an unhealthy relationship with it.
Yeah.
So, and it's
Yeah.
Some way.
hard to
Yeah.
overcome.
Yeah.
Okay, we are about out of time. This has been an awesome interview. I hope people listening to this, whether they're working 9 to 5 wanting to cut out of that, they're growing a YouTube channel, whatever they can do, there's been a ton of valuable insight from this conversation. I think you guys have a very cool setup here. You have found the perfect niche for your personality, for what you love, and have really been able to exploit that and be very successful. So thank you so much for your time. People listening to this, go check out her page, Harli G on Instagram. Watch her Potting a Murder. Check out their online store. They've got so many cool things going on. even if you're not interested in plants, like her page will make you more interested in plants.
Hopefully.
So thanks everyone for listening. Thank you too for your time. And join the club, break the mold, and live a lofty lifestyle.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yay, thanks.
Nice. That was a good outro.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. These are so sweaty from me.
That's why we always wipe. You know,
Okay.
into the whole thing.
It got really hot.
You're also pregnant, so.
Yeah, that's true. I'm 3 degrees warmer.
Hello, puppies. You did so well.
Yeah, dude, they did